Today we're diving into something that I think every single one of us can relate to on a deep level. That very human need to feel like we're truly seen. And we're going to unpack a pretty surprising answer for how to find that, all drawn from a really powerful sermon.
So, let's just start with this question right here. Do you ever feel unseen? I mean, really think about it. That feeling of being invisible, like your efforts don't matter, or that no one really gets what you're going through. And let's be honest, who hasn't felt that way at some point?
Now, what's so interesting is how we usually see this. It's like we live at two extremes, right? On one end, there's that deep ache of being unseen, where you give anything for a community to just know your name and help carry your burdens. But then on the other end of the spectrum, there's that feeling of being completely on top of the world, totally self-sufficient, where you think, I've got this, I don't need anyone.
But get this, the sermon we're looking at offers a radical idea. The answer to both of those feelings, the lonely one and the self-sufficient one, is exactly the same. It's fellowship. Which is kind of wild, right? It's not just a cure for loneliness, it's also the perfect antidote to that illusion that we can or should do it all by ourselves.
Okay, so where does this powerful idea come from? Well, we're actually going way back to a blueprint for community that comes from the early Christian church as it was described in the book of Acts.
And it all really boils down to this one line. It lays out these four, you could say, pillars for a community that actually works: teaching, fellowship, sharing meals, and praying together. It's such a simple formula, but it is incredibly profound when you think about what it takes to truly belong.
So what does that actually look like when people live it out? Well, it's a place where learning and loving aren't separate things. They're totally intertwined. It's where wisdom isn't something you keep to yourself to get ahead, it's something you share freely. It's where real friendships are basically the living, breathing proof that everyone is welcome. And prayer? Well, that's like the very lungs of the community, what gives it all life.
Okay, so that's the ancient blueprint. It sounds great in theory, but how does it actually show up in our lives today? Let's zoom in on some really tangible, everyday examples of how these tiny acts build something huge.
And I love this line from the source material, because it just hits the nail on the head. The examples we're about to talk about, they're not just nice thoughts or platitudes. This is what it looks like when love becomes a real, visible thing you can actually see.
Okay, think about this. A student taking just a few minutes in a busy hallway to explain a tricky math problem to a friend who's struggling. That's it. That's the pillar of teaching made real. It's knowledge being shared, not hoarded. Or picture this one. A coach, probably after a super long day, pulls a player aside who's been in a slump, and they just take that extra moment to offer a word of encouragement. That's not just part of the job. That's fellowship. That's helping to carry someone's burden for a minute.
And this one is so important. A teacher who has that radar, you know? They notice the quiet student in the back who has a brilliant idea but is hesitant to speak up, and they gently create a space for that student to share their thoughts. In that one small act, they're saying, I see you. Your voice matters here. You belong.
So the amazing thing behind all of these moments is this totally counterintuitive idea. You'd think that when you give something away, your time, your knowledge, your energy, you'd have less of it for yourself. But what happens in a real community is the exact opposite. When you share understanding, it multiplies. When you share generosity, it grows. It's this incredible paradox where giving away actually creates more for everyone.
All right, now I want to shift to what might be the most powerful and universal metaphor for all of this, the simple act of sharing a meal around a table. It's something we can all connect with, and it holds so much wisdom about what it really means to belong.
So humor me for a second, will you? The sermon actually invites us into this little exercise, and I want to walk you through it. If you're able to, just for a moment, go ahead and close your eyes.
I want you to try and bring to mind a table you remember, a time you felt really happy and connected. Picture the food, see the colors, smell the aromas. Now listen, hear the sounds, the clinking of plates and glasses, the murmur of conversation, maybe some laughter. Remember what it felt like to share stories, the celebrations, and maybe even the worries. And just try to tap into that feeling of lightness, that sense that your burdens were a little easier to carry just by being there with those people. Okay, you can open your eyes.
That simple image, that memory, teaches us so much, doesn't it? First, it reminds us that everyone at the table needs nourishment. We all have needs. Second, and this is crucial, it shows us that having a need isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually what opens the door to community. It's an invitation to connect. When you pass a dish to someone, you're doing more than passing food. You're passing a blessing. And it proves that sometimes the simplest acts are the most powerful ones.
So, let's start to bring this all home. The big idea here is that these incredibly transformative experiences of belonging, they don't usually happen in some huge dramatic moment. They're almost always found in the quiet, ordinary, everyday moments of our lives. And if there's one thing to really hold on to from all of this, it's this quote right here. The most transformative gifts, the things that really change us and make us feel seen, they often look completely ordinary. They look like a math problem, a word of encouragement, a shared plate of food.
So what's the goal then? What are we all really looking for? The sermon sums it up with this beautiful definition of true fellowship. It's a community where generosity is just normal. It's the default setting. It's where every single person's dignity is honored and where everyone, without a doubt, is assured that they have a place to belong.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. It doesn't have to be a literal dinner table, of course. It could be your team at work, your book club, your family, a classroom. So where do you find your table? Where is that place in your life that you feel truly, completely seen?